Oh, it's Thursday. That means it's ThursDIAZ, another edition of ThursDIAZ. I'm Beto Duran, joined as always by the coach, Joel Diaz. Coach, how are you feeling today? Feliz jueves.
Feliz jueves. Me siento muy bien, gracias a Dios. Mira, trabajando. Ya volví a mi rutina normal y me siento muy bien, mucha energía, muchas ganas de hacer cosas y aquí andamos otra vez.
Yeah, and saludos a toda la gente que nos está mirando right now. Green Eye Bandit, Marco Favela, Cuñado, Victor Granillo, everybody that leaves a comment. Roberto Diaz will join us eventually. I even have his name ready to go. So we have all that good stuff coming up. Coach, let's get straight to it right now. So I'm just getting, you asked me how I'm feeling. I'm feeling good right now. This is the first week where I've been able to run. Okay, Roberto said, did you send the link? Ay, muchacho.
Send it.
I even told them it's the same link. Let me copy the link. All right, now I'm going to have to do Coach Solo. Coach, give us an update on the gym so I can email Roberto.
Well, the thing is this. Everything's moving really well. My contractor, he's already over with this COVID situation. I met with him 2 days ago. And I told them that I gotta finish that, have it completely finished by March. Okay, in March, we need to have a complete gym so we can get back to work.
Okay.
And he's really motivated. He's really getting started. And between last week and now, I've had a lot of good stuff. I met with some people. They're gonna do the roofing. And it's going to be roofing and insulation, so we don't have to do no insulation underneath, on the ceiling. Tomorrow morning, I have a meeting with the guy that contacted me. He saw the article, and he's just happy that that we're doing all this, and he wants to help out.
That's awesome.
This is a painting company, so they called me and they said, "Is it okay? We go to your building, check it out, and we are willing to help you with the paint, whatever you need." So tomorrow, I have a meeting with them. I've been back and forth. Things are looking really good. So now that the contractor is good, he's on it. I told him and I called him. I said, March, we should have everything ready to go. Even the plaster guy came over Tuesday morning. We met there early morning at 7 in the morning, and we went over everything. He says, I'm ready. Just let me know whenever you're ready for me to come in, I'll come in and blast it out.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear because I knew that the story getting out there, and Andrew John, who wrote the story for the Desert Sun, I started following him on Twitter, and I started seeing more retweets about that. And I had a couple of people reach out to me during the week and said, hey, that was a great story about Coach and the gym. Send him the best for you. And I'm like, that's cool. People listening on the podcast. And as always, you can listen on the podcast. We have our own page. ThursDIAZ, put it on iTunes or on Spotify. It's out there. And of course, you're watching on YouTube right now, just like Chicano Golf, who's watching on his phone. And then he also has a computer up. That way he can make sure he's part of the chat. So everything else is going on. Razo will not be on today, people. Calmados. Calmados. I know if you're listening last week, Coach and Razo made the bet between the Rams and the Packers. When Razo and Coach see each other, Razo's going to have to wear the jersey in front of him. Hopefully it's inside the gym, and we will take the pictures of that. But Razo, I saw him the other day. I didn't see him. I texted him the other day. He's like, it's okay. We got there. As long as we got there, okay. But yeah, he wanted to win. So as Joel Diaz Jr. comes in, we're with the Go Pack Go. Ruben Polanco, saludos to everybody else. And yeah, so Coach, I was telling you, with me, I feel good. So I ran this week, and I ran last week, and I ran like a 13-minute mile. And I'm like, I'm just not ready for it. And then I ran again on Monday, and I got it down to 12, but I only ran 1 mile. I realized I can't do two. So just run one good one, and then that's it. And I made the thing where I don't go back-to-back days, so every other day. Right. So that's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling better. So I ran this morning. I ran my 1 mile. I was down to 11 minutes. So I'm like, all right. I'm good. So we're getting there. And who's getting there right now? Roberto Diaz is joining us as we get ready to go. There he is. Bobby shows up. Roberto Diaz.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. He's welcome to the show.
Right away. Qué buen trío. Qué buen trío. Una buena tercia de haces.
Una buena
No de-
tercia.
I said de haces, no de asos.
No, we understood perfectly.
Yeah, we're
Te
perfectly.
entendimos perfectamente, Roberto. We're good.
Bobby is here. We haven't even started the show yet, Roberto, because we're going to get in there, get the update of what's going on. Well, that's not Michelada time. Let me put Michelada time. There you
I'm
go.
sorry for my absence last week. I was a little devastated because hubo madrazo tras madrazo.
Yeah, there was some work that needed to be done last week.
Puta, tell me about it.
So those
Fucking
are a lot.
Kovalev, and then the next day in the morning, I wake up and JoJo's opponent. I was like, oh my god.
It's
Yeah.
a little stressful.
Yeah, Roberto, before we get into the news and everything else, because it seems like everybody's having a good time tonight on the chat, Arturo Alvarado, everybody else, people watching in Texas. But the big breaking news is that I'm ready to drink. So I am ready.
Okay, so I am a little running late because I just got back from Malbec.
Oh, so we're going to get all the good stories today. Roberto's feeling good from Malbec.
Yeah. So I'm just waiting for my not my IT, but my drink to get here on the way because I ran into the house just to turn on the computer, and I said, hey, are you almost here? Porque I need a drink.
Venías chicoteado. Venías quemando llantas en las esquinas, Roberto.
Llegué rapidísimo porque dije, I left there at 8. I said, hey, I'm gone because 8:30 is my podcast. I can't be missing 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, exactly. On your smoking and everything. So, there it is. I am making my first tequila and squirt of the year. That's how good I feel.
Oh my God, he's starting strong.
Yeah, well,
I'm telling you.
Con squirt también. And then, by the way, thanks to Imagine That Workshop, my guy got hooked up the tumbler. Mira nomás.
I saw one that said, send it.
Imagine that workshop. Send me this bottle here, and that's exactly what I'm drinking today.
Wait, what did you get, Coach?
Let me see the back.
Oh, the Dirty
The back of the
Prospector.
bottle?
Dirty
Oh,
Prospector.
no. The box, right? The box.
Oh, yeah, he gave you a box.
No, he gave me that bottle in a box. Look, when I got it, I opened it up and I'm like, wow, this is nice because this is wood. But then I look at the back.
I thought exactly.
That's when I thought Jack Dempsey.
Why is Antonio like a bigger box?
Because Antonio's bigger.
Because
He's
a bigger
overweight.
bottle. He needed
It's because it's because Antonio's overweight. He's a little bigger.
That's why.
The bottle's the same.
The box is bigger, but the bottle's smaller.
Yeah, it's like this, like Roberto. Like this one here. Watch. When I open the box, look, it fits perfectly right. Look, it fits perfectly in here, right? And Antonio's bottle, it's all over the place because he made the box a little bigger.
Because on the back of the box to fit Antonio.
Yeah, exactly.
Diaz understands a Diaz. We knew soy más chingón.
Ya nomás. No,
he's watching. Oh, Toño, what's up?
Ya estamos en broncas.
Yeah, that's how good we are all feeling. So, cheers to everybody. Saludos. There it is. I'm not taking shots, but I have a drink. It's the first drink that I've had this year. So, saludos to everybody.
Roberto, Toño,
feels
if
good.
you tell him, Toño, what size of shirt are you? I'm a large. Y le das una large, and he'll fit it in. I don't know how, pero he'll fit in a large.
I saw it the other day.
I honestly
He showed up for Beck's fight,
fight.
at Fantasy. Dije, Tonio, come on, ya déjate de large, cabrón. Eres doble XL, cabrón, para que estés.
No.
He was turning black and blue. Y le digo, ¿qué te pasa?
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
So, salud to everybody, including Toño. No bullying today, Toño. We'll feel good about you. And Roberto, last week, we let Toño come on the show for about 5 minutes. And after 3, ya lo teníamos que correr. He was going all over the house. He was it was just, but his true smile.
He was hiding from his wife.
Yeah.
because he's too loud. So he
Yeah.
wanted to hide in the closet, and his kid was already in there.
Oh my God!
Yeah, but his fans love.
You guys, Joel, you guys, 2 years in a row, you're right there.
Oh, the Packers.
The Packers, Joel.
I know. And we're gonna take it. I'm telling
Hey.
you. Watch. We're gonna take the Super Bowl this year. Okay, ya los demás. I mean, come on. I mean, Roberto. I mean, last week.
But in my case, Joel, how do you go from almost winning the Super Bowl to not even fucking knowing what the Super Bowl is this year? We went from here to here. It was a long fall down.
That's what happens. I mean, every year is different.
I swear, I said, after we lost, I was so disappointed, but I said, you know what? They needed that experience with that team for the next 10 years. They're going to be dominant. Puta, the first year they were.
Hey, Roberto, last week, Razo and I, we made a bet, right? Well, a couple bets. And he goes, oh, we're going to win. Okay, no problem. And all of a sudden, the day of the game, I mean, it was a third quarter, and Razo's already texting me, hey, it was a good game. Congrats. I go, dude, it's not over yet. I mean, by the third quarter, he was already throwing in the towel. And then he was texting me and my son and a group text, and my son's like, hey, Razo, but it's not over yet. He goes, no, congratulations, you guys. I mean, he basically told me all the strengths of the team and all the weaknesses.
He showed up to my house today. By the way, Razo and your brother, thank you so much, man. They hooked up some heaters, installed them, electric heaters in the backyard.
Yeah, Razo does it all.
Hey, Razo does it all. But he showed up with his LA Dodgers, and I said, hey, no, espérame.
Rams, it's football season.
They already won a long time ago. The Rams should be right now because it's football season. Why?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Razo moves on quick, yeah, but he did a good job last weekend. All right, let's get going. As everybody's feeling good, we're all right. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world of boxing, and I don't know what it is. So I'm going to go right here. After the show last week, I wake up Friday morning, and I see a tweet that people start sending me, and they're saying, hey, look, Coach is over here breaking news that he's going to train the Turkish Mafia guy on a different podcast. How come you didn't say it on yours? And I wrote back to that person, because we don't do news on our podcast. We do chisme and we do pendejadas, bro. Like if you want like hardcore breaking news, like we do a schedule update, we tell you what's going on, right? That's it. But like, oh, Coach is gonna train here, this is that, this is that. I'm like, if you listen to that podcast, it's the Last Round podcast. They do an excellent job with boxing. They hardcore break it down, good guys. They all that other stuff. I'm like, that's cool for them, but for us, where else are you gonna tell people where you're telling your audience, start drinking, let's go?
Right.
Hold on, but let me say something. I don't know. I mean, I've heard an interview, Ahmed. I'm hearing it from you now. But let's be, I mean, obviously, Coach will say if it's true or it's not, but let's be one thing clear. Coach always said from day one, I'm not going to train a fighter that's going to fight a Golden Boy fighter. However, if today he's not a Golden Boy fighter, hey, what's Coach going to say? Hey, he's not a Golden Boy fighter. I'm going to train the guy that's going to fight him. Of course, that's very different now. So the people have to remember, he never said, I'm not going to train a fighter that's going to fight Canelo. I'm not going to train a fighter that's going against a Golden Boy fighter. I mean, unless it's a fighter that he's already been training for many years, like in the case of Diego de la Hoya, who fought Ronnie Rios.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why you guys have to listen. Don't get too loaded. Don't get too loaded like I do.
Canelo's not a Golden Boy fighter, so hey, we all got to get paid. Yeah. So you don't know the extra. Antonio is a cornerman. Roberto Diaz is the cornerman. Rio Diaz is the cornerman. We're all going. It's a Diaz thing, cabrón.
At this point, nothing's sure in life and in the future. So the thing is this: let's say, for example, Beck the Bully. Okay, Beck the Bully is climbing up slowly, and he's gonna be a superstar in that division. Let's say what happens next year. He scales up to the rankings to the point where he has to fight Canelo. We're gonna face Canelo because Bully is in that position, and it's gonna be a great fight. I mean, they're in the same division. We're gonna scale up, but like I said right now, and like Roberto says, Canelo is no longer with Golden Boy. It was always something for me training a fighter that is gonna go against the promotion, especially Canelo, who is the superstar of the sport, under the promotion, under, to me, one of the best promotions in the world, Golden Boy. So, right now there is nothing between Canelo and Golden Boy, So, I mean, the path is free, So that's just the way it goes. And I always give my respects and my loyalty to all those people who always open their doors to me, and they're loyal to me. I'm loyal to them. I mean,
Absolutely.
things change every day, and we have to move on. We have to work. And in this case, I mean, there's nothing that I'm going against the promotion. I mean, hey, the path is free.
So you are going to train.
And it's work, and it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity.
Yeah.
So you're going to train Turkish Mafia.
Well, Turkish Mafia is in Turkey. Okay. I mean, he's supposed to be here, but he has visa issues,
Oh.
So, I mean, right now they're not giving any visas for him to come to the States. So that's where the thing is. Look, we are already towards the end of January, and the fights end of February. So that's the thing, The manager calls me, and I mean, he told me, hey, can you send Antonio? I said, Antonio can't go. Antonio still works for the Boys and Girls Club.
Antonio's still getting his papers to be like a citizen, so he can't travel right now. Oh, no, exactly. No, sorry. We're on podcast.
Hey, Roberto. Actually, I started my process.
It's Coenz.
It's me. Hey, and him too. It's both of us. No, it's both of us. It's something that we've always procrastinated about, and like, hey, you guys need to become citizens and whatever. And I never really looked. I mean, it's all procrastination, Roberto. It's all,
of course,
it's been. And we see people, becoming citizens and here and there, and they're like, man, you guys are supposed to. So recently, it was actually last year, early last year, before the pandemic started. It was by coincidence, Roberto. We're at a fight at a Thompson boxing show, and we're in the dressing room. And Antonio's bien metiche, and todos se mete. He'll grab things that are not his, and regardless, he don't give a crap, right? So we're in the dressing room, and I'm wrapping this kid who's gonna fight, and then one of the commissioners was right there, an inspector. He has his clipboard sitting on the table. So Antonio picks up the clipboard and he goes up to me and goes, hey, look, this guy right here, he's an immigration attorney. Maybe he can help us. I go, really? So he got his number. I go, so then I direct.
Oh, the guy down in San Diego.
Yeah, Rogelio Chapa.
Yeah. Okay. Wait a minute. Yeah. Hold on. I love the story, the fact that you're in a dressing room at a Thompson show, and Tonio grabs his clipboard and said, hey, he can help us get paper, get his citizenship. But it's supposed to be like, hey, do you think you can help us? You're a professional. Let me get your card. No, hey, he can help us.
Right there and then, Antonio made the move and says, hey, he goes, hey, we want to become citizens. He goes, okay, no problem. Give me a call. So we got his contact number, and we didn't call him. We did it. And time went by. So then one day I said, I'm going to give this guy a call to see.
We're going to become citizens.
So I called him. I called him like the beginning of last year. And I said, hey, Rogelio, how are you? Oh, I called him Mr. Chapa. Mr. Chapa, how you doing? With respect. So they go, no, Joel, don't call me Mr. Chapa. Just call me Rogelio. I'm okay, Rogelio. So this is my situation. He goes, oh, don't worry. I'll help you. So then he started with the process. He opened the process. He says, you know what? You had some problems back in 1994. So I need this paperwork, this. So due to the pandemic, it was a slow process. So actually this morning I got an email. He already got everything ready to go. And I go, man, that's great. I mean, I've been waiting for this because since I had the problem back in 1984, every time I travel out of the States, every time I come into customs, you're always secondary.
Oh.
And always tell me, you got to become a citizen. So, I mean, like I said, it was always procrastination. And every time they told me, in order for you to become a citizen, you have to go back a certain amount of years and you got to put down dates of where you traveled in the last 7 years or whatever.
And that's a pain in the ass, especially
exactly
with all the travel. And if you mess up one,
Yeah, exactly.
Once that you messed up and you didn't declare this one because you
Yeah.
forgot that trip. Oh, you lied. You lied.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So that's the reason why to me it was hard. Like, and like, well, go back on your passport and go do this. And to me, like, if you don't declare one and you lie or so, they think you're lying. You know. So what I did, I relied on Mr. Chapa, and he told me, okay, send me your passport, and I'll go back and I'll go through the immigration and customs and stuff. So he helped me do all that. So right now everything is looking really good. Antonio contacted him too. He's helping Antonio as well. But
That's
Antonio,
awesome.
I think Antonio's process a little is behind mine, but thank God we're moving forward and everything's
Yeah,
looking good.
he's a good dude, man. Chapa, he's a good dude, Inspector
Yeah,
down
he's a
San
really
Diego.
good
No, but what you should have done is you should have said, I'm Antonio, and let him be the one with the problem in '84.
With the
Then
bro, that's true. Yeah, actually, he moved. Chapa moved to Arizona now. He's not in San Diego no more.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Here, let me.
he recently moved to San Diego.
Yeah.
I mean to Arizona.
Yeah, it's if you guys are being serious about this, it's boxing.mma.esq. Boxing.mma.esq is his Instagram. If you have immigration issues, and I'm not making light of this, he would definitely help
really
you out
good.
because he's talked to me
He's really
before
good.
that. And great dude. He's an immigration attorney, California State Athletic Commission inspector. So boxing.mma.esq. So if you need some help with that. So all right, so coach is in the process going. So we still got to figure out what's going on with Turkish Mafia. Says we don't know anything. Forget it. Let's move on. Roberto, February 13th, you were able to save a lot of stuff, and I saw the press release today. There are a lot of fights, stacked card. It's finally hearing names. Let me see. Start off with you have
Jojo?
Quigley against Shane Mosley Jr. We're going to get into the main event. You have Ronnie Rios, Oscar Negrete, which is a good one. On the card, with no opponent yet, is Azat Hovhannisyan, Crazy A, and also Beck the Bully. And then you have a kid making his pro debut. And it is just an action-packed card. I'm not saying this because I work for Golden Boy, but I'm probably not working that one. But it's one of those where like, wow, about time we have kind of, let's get back to normal with boxing. The main event, Jojo against Rahimirov, I believe that's how you say his name, the Russian, where I know you can't get into too many details, but the fight was supposedly off, but now it's back. What happened?
So I'm very excited. Obviously, it's a snowball effect. We had a card set up for January 30th, a couple fights because of that show canceling. That moved over to February 13th, making the card that I already thought, you know what, it's a good card to present to the fans and to the network. But now adding those 2 additional fights makes it even stronger and stacking it more. I mean, I'm excited, and I'm telling the fans, I'm not here to promote. I'm here to do not miss it. It's a no-brainer. It's going to be a hell of a card. Shane Mosley Jr. against Jason Quigley. That's a true crossroad fight. It's very important for their careers. Obviously, it's not an ending. I mean, whoever loses takes a couple steps back, regroups, and comes back. They're still young. They're still fighters that are physically haven't been, knocked out or just hurt or anything, so they can come back. But for the winner, it leads to a big, big fight. So it's a very important, very even fight for both. You go into Ronnie Rios against Oscar Negrete. Everybody in Southern California knows those names.
Yep.
Both of them come forward. They're 2 little trains waiting to just collapse. I mean, they're going to crash. They're not going to have to find each other. They just know how to come forward, no step back. Both of them throw a lot of punches. Both of them, it's the same situation. 2020 was quiet for them. They've been training the whole year. A win for either of them, the next fight's a world title. So they're both aware of that. The co-main event, Patrick Teixeira and his mandatory against, you got Brazil against Argentina.
Brian Castano, that's a good one right there.
Very, very tough fight. I've been seeing Patrick train and spar, following the whole camp. He's hungry. It's not I won the title and I'm settled and I'm comfortable. No, I won the title and I like what I got. I'm not ready to give it up. And you know what? Brazil and Argentina on the field,
Yep.
it's always good. In the ring, it's going to be better. Jojo and Rakimov, look, Jojo got a mentality right now that I don't want to be a world champion. I want to be a unified champion. And I got to beat this guy to start unifying belts and titles. He got that level of, you know what? I'm hungry. Not just because I won the title, I'm settled down. No, I'm hungry for more. Rakimov's undefeated. He comes forward, throws a lot of punches. That's exciting. Azat. Have you ever seen Azat in a boring fight?
Jeez.
No. He's been training all year to try to knock somebody out. He's been sparring big guys, little guys, welterweights, middleweights. I mean, he's ready. He's like ready to let go and just whoever's in front of him, knock him out. And you know what? Azat will beat any of the world champions today. Beck, it's a downer. It is a big downer. He was ready to fight. Again, we talked about it 2 weeks ago. Pumping him up. Guys, fans, this guy's real. Everybody talks a good game. Sign me. I'll fight anybody. You present a couple names. No, not yet. Give me a tune-up. Give me another tune-up. Beck and his team were like, who's out there? Well, you're already knocking guys out that you shouldn't be knocking out with much more experience. Will you fight Kovalev? Yes. Oh, there's a problem. Will you fight him 10 pounds above your weight? Yes. Okay, one more thing. Will you fight him in Russia? Yes. Like, what else do you want from a fighter? There was never no. Unfortunately, what happened. The fight got canceled, and now, luckily, we were able to shift them a couple more weeks. I'm calling everybody. Look, I've made calls to, and I'll be right here. You heard it first. Gabriel Rosado. I would love that fight because you know what? Gabriel Rosado came this close to beating Daniel Jacobs, one of the best in the division.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say he turned it down, but there's ways of turning down a fight. And when he asked me for so much money, it was like, sorry, Gabriel, you know what? Enjoy your vacation. I think it's out in Tulum. Have a good time. Enjoy Tulum. Stay safe. But there's a way of turning down fights. And you know what? That was one of the ways. He asked for way more than I could pay him. And
you overpriced yourself.
Exactly. And that would have been a great fight because Gabriel Rosado, look, everybody knows him. The name's there. But Beck fights anybody. And it's exciting just to have him back. I'm right now talking to a couple other names. I won't say them right now, but I'm hoping one of them says, yes, I'm willing to take the challenge. And that's what it's about, taking challenges. You know, I'm excited about the card. It should be a very, very fun card.
Without giving out names, Roberto, of those names that are a possibility for Beck, is it a name where fans are going to be like, oh, I know that name?
At this particular point in his career, he was going to fight Kovalev. I can't come back with somebody that nobody knows. It has to be, look, we tried for Gabriel Rosado.
So somebody on that level.
Exactly. I want somebody that the world, not just diehard fight fans know. Because it has to be somebody that Beck can say, it's real. It's real.
Yeah.
And there's a challenge. And I don't just want an opponent. I want to fight because Beck is that good. He is at the level of, and I'm on record, he is at the level, he can be one of those Lomachenkos of the bigger divisions because he is on a very fast track. And proof is what he was willing to do against Kovalev. The fight was done, signed.
We've become the Beck show of record. I think we talk more about Beck than I think his family does. Because I know that every single week, Coach, as we started talking about Beck, I know I've gained over 1,000 Uzbek followers. Like,
wow.
Same with you, Roberto. Check your Instagram followers, and you'll see on Fridays.
I only have 1,000 to begin with, cabrón. So how can I have 1,000?
No, Bobby, the life you live, there's no way you only have 1,000. My goodness.
By the way, Jason, thanks for the cigar. This is one of Jason's cigars from Dallas, Texas.
Oh, you got a Dallas, Texas cigar. That's nice. Say one more time. What kind is it? You know?
Jason, manager of James Wilkins and
Oh,
Hector
okay,
Valdez,
yeah.
sent me a couple cigars while we were at the hotel, and just realized that this is one of them. So thank you. I know he's on. I saw
Yeah.
him listening in. So thank you,
Yeah.
Jason.
There it is. So yeah, so we've become the Beck Show of records. So I'm telling you, everybody like Uzbekistan, they want us because we're their lifeblood because
Yeah.
they can't get enough of that guy because they'll send me messages. I don't know what they're saying. They're writing in Uzbek, so it's like, what's going on? Oh, I'm getting a phone call from somebody from Turkey.
Oh,
I kid you not.
Ahmed.
I kid you not. I'm getting a
Man,
phone.
he's gonna tell you, hey, you are Turkish Mafia.
Okay.
Don't talk about me like this.
Yeah. Oh, and then let me see. The other one, we'll get to your questions right now. Rounding out the card, you're going to have a kid named Dallas Kaliopu from Hawaii making his pro debut. And then also Victor Morales from the Pacific Northwest will be on it.
Hey,
And,
the tornado. Yep. Victor Morales is in a very tough fight.
or is he?
He's fighting a veteran, but that's another kid that's very dedicated, been very patient, working very hard. Very big future for that kid.
All right. All right. So I told the people we're going to get to the questions early tonight. Here's a good one. It's an interesting one. When a fight like this falls through, promotion-wise, what goes into it? So, Roberto. And then for you, Coach, training-wise, how do you adapt? So, like, say a fighter like Beck or, say, JoJo, that fight would have fell off. Promotion-wise, you're losing that, but do they go and move on to the next fight and bump somebody else off? Or how does it – what's the plan?
In this particular case, January 30th was already set. The card was done pretty much. Obviously, the main event fell off. If it would have been an undercard fight, the main event still goes on. You replace those undercard fights. But when the main event falls, it's very difficult. In this particular case, obviously, it was canceled, the show, because of the circumstances. However, what did we do? Jason Quigley was the co-main event for that show against Shane Mosley Jr. We shifted it to the next available card, which is February 13th. Beck ended up without a fight. Luckily, we had a fight 2 weeks later, so we're able to shift them over to the next card. When that's not possible, I mean, it happens. Fighters get injured, fighters get cut, broken hands, COVID right now. It's difficult because it doesn't only affect the main event fight, it affects that undercard. So you just got to adjust. And it's not the best situation, but it happens in boxing all the time.
And Coach, for training-wise, how do you deal with your fighter? Do you let him go home for a week, or do you bring him back? Like, what do you do?
It depends on the situation, Beto. It depends on the situation. And the case for us was the night. It was during the night, like around this time. I get the call.
Yep.
And the manager says, "Hey, we're having a problem. Kovalev tested positive for this." I was really. So, but they're like, I mean, we're willing to take the fight even though he's taking whatever he's taking. And they're like, nah, but I don't think it'll happen. So in that case, for us, it's like, don't tell Beck anything. Let's just see what happens tomorrow. Okay, let's give it till tomorrow and see what's going to go on. Sure thing. So tomorrow morning, we get another call and they're like, hey, show's canceled. It's not going to happen. So we're going to move on. Okay, so then I tell them, hey, well, just let Beck rest, you know. And they're like, well, you know, let's see if we can work something out. And that's when, you know, we rely a lot on a good promotion like Golden Boy, for example. We know that they have a backup plan, you know, and they have to put their cards together to make things happen. So I told them, hey, well, let's just relax a little bit. Maybe, you know, the promotion has something, you know, for Beck, because he trained really, really hard. Honestly, we were hiring sparring partners from all over. We were actually bringing sparring from Miami, from Vegas, from San Diego, you name it. We had sparring partners from everywhere because he was, you know, we were looking for the proper sparring, like height, you know, style. And Beck was doing really good. Actually, he had his own training hour for himself. We were giving Beck his own training for himself. We were not training him with a group like we always do, because he was so focused, he was so determined. And I've always said that every fighter steps up to the level of opposition. And Kovalev was a great credential for him. And I know he was a little upset. Even after I told him, hey, just let him rest a day or two, and then we'll bring him in. We're not gonna pressure him. He has a lot of conditioning already. He was already on a roll. So we kept him training just light with no pressure of a date, and we let everything settle down a little bit until Golden Boy, Roberto, and them, they got to work, and they finally gave us another hope for the 13th, and then we started picking it up again. But actually, this week is still the same. Beck is coming to the gym. We cut down a lot of his heavy work because he was already training heavy. He had a lot of rounds of sparring, heavy work in the midst, and so we slowed him down. But as of next week, now that we got another opportunity for another day, then we're gonna start picking it up, so we don't have to just burn them out. Because fighters, when they're training for a fight, they start peaking, and peaking means like they're already at the point where they just want to fight. And if you overdo it, they'll overtrain. So we have to slow them down, monitor their training, mentally and physically. So right now he's good. This week he was coming into the gym, just shaking out, nothing heavy. So that now that we got the news, as of next week we start picking it up again.
And that's how you do it.
One thing on my side is, or on our side as a promotion is, let's remember he came through the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been easier that he's mid through the year. This is happening. Obviously, he's still away from home, but it happens. Your opponent got injured. He got hurt. He got cut. He missed the medical. He didn't pass a substance, whatever. The fight's off. We'll reschedule another day, go back home. But in this particular case, Beck had spent Christmas and New Year here, training, looking forward to the biggest fight of his career. So the easiest thing to answer the question is, okay, the fight's off, go back home. But you got to understand that he's ready. He's 2 weeks away from a fight, and he's ready, looking forward. And you know what? If we have a show 2 weeks later, let's squeeze him in. Obviously, it's not going to be the same level. He's not the main event. He's this. But let him get some of that training done. Let's just get another fight, get it through, and hope that the next fight could be that big fight again.
And that's
what
how.
What I liked was, even though this fight didn't happen, and I was looking so forward to this fight because it was his coming out party. Look, what could have happened? Beck could have got knocked out, or Beck could have lost.
Yeah.
Okay, he's 24 years old. He comes back. But if Beck goes in there and knocks out a former multiple-time champion and beats him, everybody in the world was going to be like, holy crap, who is this kid? That was so important for us, this fight. And again, gave up weight, gave up
everything,
going into the guy's backyard, everything. And then even tweeted, I don't care, I don't talk.
No.
I'll fight him anyway. Yep. I'll fight him anyway. I don't care what he's using. That's Beck the Bully.
That's a different guy. The Beck the Bully show record. Forget ThursDIAZ. It's the Beck podcast. We talk about it so much. And I wasn't kidding when I said that Turkish Mafia was calling me. The call I got, and I said, hey, I'm doing the podcast with Joel and Roberto. They said, I know, I'm watching. I need your help. We want your comment on Avni versus Canelo. We will cover the story. We want a paragraph from you, Beto Duran, USA reporter, on his chances against Canelo. I write back, he's Turkish Mafia. I'm not answering anything. And they said, don't worry. We are Mafia, Beto Mafia, Joel Mafia, Roberto Mafia. it's okay. Just give us your thoughts about it. It's a big night for us in Turkey. I'm going to be the one in the ring carrying the Turkish flag. His promoter and him are friends. And I said, he's not in the USA. His answer, soon.
I know.
And by the way, he's watching the podcast right now. Yeah, I just read your entire text message right now on the show.
I know Avni for many years. I know Ahmed for even more. One thing about Avni, they call him the robot. I mean, he's a fucking machine. He'll train. He'll listen. He doesn't care to get hit. He just wants to land his punches. He's a big kid. He's strong. One thing I know for sure is he will give it 100%. Whatever that means, he has it, and he'll give it. He's not going to go in there to, I'm just an opponent, I'm just happy to be here. He will go in there and give it 100%. Canelo impressed the shit out of me in the Liam Smith fight. I mean, he was the aggressor, great counterpuncher, broke down the bigger guy. It's a very different level. But you know what? While it lasts, it could be fun. It could be explosive. It could be what people want to see. A fast, quick war for however long it lasts and early knockout. One thing I do know is he's very loved in Turkey. He's a big hero. I know the whole country's going to be with him. So that's a motivating factor.
Yeah.
Roberto, when you brought him to me, it took me a while to correct a lot of his mistakes. And the reason why they called him a robot, because he was very one-dimensional.
Robotic. Yeah.
Very robotic, coming forward. And like, people ask me, hey, who's this kid? I said, hey, this kid right here is a physically strong kid. He has a lot of balls. And he carries power. I'm telling you. And you know what? There was times in which I put him to spar with Beck. Okay? And honestly, I mean, you can see how clear Beck will land that that hook to the body, liver shot, to the point where we're like, whoa. He will like keep walking forward. I'm telling you. Beck will land that left hook to the body on Abney, and he will come to the corner. Are you all right? He goes, yeah, no problem. And then he'll be excited for the bell to ring to go for the next round. You know? I mean, it was such a great sparring, and the time he was with me, those months that he was stuck here before he went back, he learned a lot. One thing I like about Abney is that Abney, he likes to learn. And there was times in which I would teach him something and he would tell me, nobody ever told me this. I go, okay. He goes, I like it. Let's do it again. And I would tell him, hey, I don't want you to come back tomorrow and I have to teach you the same thing again. No, coach, no. So he started learning. His head movement, Roberto, improved so much. He wasn't that robot that you saw in the past. He was moving really well. His defense changed, added a little speed to his punches, and he was a lot smarter, counter puncher. But I can tell you this, Roberto. I mean, if Canelo decides to say, oh, this guy is, just a tune-up fight for me, and says, oh, he takes it like an easy fight, and one exchange on Canelo, because Canelo's strong, Canelo's fast, smart, and he carries a punch on both hands. But in an exchange, que se den un pinche intercambio los dos, donde se peguen los dos, I mean, the chances are 50-50, I'm telling you.
Anything can happen in boxing. Look, Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson.
Yeah, of course. Because Abney's gonna come looking for it. Abney, he's hungry, and like I said in the past, this guy carries a whole country on his back. So he's looking forward. He would always tell me, Coach, I will be world champion. I love you. I will be world champion. With you, I will be. Okay, Abney, you will be world champion. So he has that mentality where he's going to go get something that he's always wanted. So he's going to go give it his all. He's a great kid. If I have to say something about him, is he has a lot of heart. He hits hard with both hands. He's physically strong, and he wants it. I mean,
I almost signed him for many years. I supported him. I backed him. A very good relationship with his promoter Ahmed. Even when I won't even get into details, but how he ended up in Indio. I mean, Ahmed called me and this, but you know what? The kid
Los
listened.
secuestramos.
Yeah, los encontramos ahí en los outlets, in the Coachella or whatever Morongo outlets. But
Yeah.
to be honest, the kid will not say no to training. I mean, whatever you tell him, you got to run 15, 20 miles today, he'll do it. That's something about like the machine where just tell him what to do and he'll do it. He won't say, okay, ya me cansé or I can't go no more.
Never.
He'll keep going. He's a hard worker.
He's a workhorse. He's a workhorse.
Yep.
He works hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we have a picture of him, actually a video. You guys can see it. He's training in the back of Joel's truck in April.
Yeah, we went up to the mountains. We couldn't train at the gym. We started a pandemic, so I said, nothing's gonna stop me. Hey, I had some ideas. I go, you know what? I have a truck. I have a lot of friends that are welders. Let's make this attachment. I came up with that idea, making that attachment to my truck. And I remember Ann Wolf had one, but she had it in the front. I did it on
She had it in the front, and if you slowed down, you'd get run over.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
So you can see that.
And what people have to remember, look, at the end of the day, he is the physically bigger guy. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes a point where, as good as you are, and I'm not saying he's going to beat Canelo, but trust me, look, Canelo is who he is, and I've always said it. When he was with Golden Boy, I'll continue to say it. Every fight he looks better and better and better and better, and Canelo keeps improving and shows different things. There has to come a time where he peaks, and the other guys are getting younger and bigger and hungry, and know he's the target. Hey, if I beat you, the world's in my hands. So it gets tougher and tougher as the years go by, and that's just boxing. You know, it happened. Larry Holmes beat Muhammad Ali, not because he was so much better than Muhammad Ali. Come on, Muhammad Ali was the greatest, but it was the timing. Mike Tyson came beat Larry Holmes, not because Mike Tyson was better than Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes probably would have beat Mike Tyson had they both been in their primes. But llega un momento que one day se acabó, and the next guy is younger, stronger, and better. Or not better, just younger and stronger. Danny Garcia and Eric Morales. I mean, Danny beat him and knocked him out bad in the second fight, but it was just a bigger guy and a younger guy, a stronger guy.
Yeah,
it is. And
we've seen it a lot. I saw it, Roberto, when I was working for HBO, when I was doing the commentating for HBO. Honestly, and I'm gonna tell you, I know you're good friends with Miguel Cotto, but I never expected Miguel Cotto to beat Sergio Martinez, and that night he did. It's like I was talking to Roy Jones, and even, what do you think, Roy, about this fight? Oh, you know, Sergio too smart, too slick for Cotto, and look, that night he beat him, and then it turned when Saddam Ali beat. I mean, who would have thought that Saddam Ali would beat Miguel Cotto? You know, and like you said, there's always a time, and that time comes.
And I'll tell you, I remember that fight with Miguel and Saddam. It was offered to Saddam, and I don't know if the network didn't want to approve. No. And Saddam wanted that fight so bad. They kept calling Eric all the time. Come on, let us. Okay, we're waiting to see if they approve. There's a couple other. Please get us that fight. A lot has to do with the fighter's mentality. You know, if they believe, and recently, Teofimo and Lomachenko, Teofimo believed he can win the fight. Yeah. And that confidence of a fighter says a lot.
¿Sabes qué? I need another shot. I'm feeling good.
Te estabas tardando, Beto.
Yeah, you know. Ruben Polanco wants to know, when is Roberto bringing empanadas from Malbec? Don't worry, Roberto took care.
Who's Ruben Polanco? All right, refresh my memory.
Ruben Polanco is one of our biggest fans in the show.
Yeah, it's he's I played golf with him, and he knows Razo. But yeah.
Anytime, Ruben, let me know. I'll send them your way.
You know, let me just finish it. Why
I
miss
just left Malbec.
Ruben Polanco is a guy that on Wednesday he's already texting coach. Show tomorrow. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to bring up this one right here. Roberto, the other day, it was Muhammad Ali's birthday. All right? And you're a big Muhammad Ali fan. You've said it, he's your favorite. Your license plate have some kind of variation of Muhammad Ali name in there.
Go.
Goat Ali, Ali Go, but different stuff. Now, Michael Thompson, who his son Clay is in the NBA, he's a big boxing fan, and he was telling us today on the radio that Muhammad Ali never cursed, and he's a huge, huge fan. That Muhammad Ali was a big trash talker, but there's never any video evidence of Muhammad Ali actually swearing, and that he's read stories that I guess Muhammad was very adamant about not swearing. Did you know that? Have you ever heard anything like that?
I've never heard him swear. I mean, I have so many videos, movies, promos of him fighting. He would degrade you as your opponent, mind games, but very respectful. I think the worst thing he ever said to an opponent was to Joe Frazier, Uncle Tom.
Oh, okay.
But never cursed. Now, here's another thing that a lot of people might not know. Muhammad Ali was called in here in LA. I believe it was LA. I'm sorry if I'm not correct, but there was a gentleman ready to commit suicide and jump off a building. And Muhammad Ali was brought in and talked the guy out of committing suicide. To me, Muhammad Ali is great and the greatest of all time because he didn't represent only boxing. He was 40 years ago ahead of his time. If we had Muhammad Ali today, the same Muhammad Ali, not the social media or modern Muhammad Ali, the same Muhammad Ali that we had back then, today, he'd still be ahead of his game. The rhyming, the predicting the rounds, the colorful way that he would psych out his opponent, the way he fought in the ring, but also what he did outside the ring. The man was very well in touch with the world, helping children, motivating children, helping the poor, helping countries, he was more than just an athlete. That to me is what a boxer or a baseball star or a role model has to be. Now, there's the controversy when people wanted to trash him. He didn't defend the country, and he stood up for what he believed.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, as much as anybody wanted, that was wrong, that was right. That's what he believed. And he stood up for it, and he paid for it. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Thanks to Cuñado will point out there's a picture of it. I just Googled it right now.
Yeah. He was ready to jump off a building and obviously commit suicide. He talked the man out. And if anybody could probably talk somebody out of it, it would have been him.
Yeah, it was in 1981, and it was a Vietnam veteran, and it was here in Los Angeles, who wanted to jump from the 9th floor of a building. Ali just happened to be there, and he turned up in a Rolls Royce. It was Ali's photographer was there, and he called the boxer. 30 minutes later, he went, walked up the stairs, and talked the man down.
Wow.
Ali
I never knew
was
that.
just amazing because he transcended cultures. He was just somebody that did more than just boxing. And what he did inside the ring was just beautiful. It was art. A heavyweight to move like he moved, the resistance he had to take a punch. Unfortunately, he fought, way past his time. he was, yeah, exactly the difference between a star and a legend. He is a legend. Look, we still talk about him today,
Yeah.
and he's been dead, passed many years ago. But to me, it doesn't matter that he retired undefeated or with losses. He's still the greatest of all time, and that's my tribute to him on the plates, Bobby's plates and my plates. Ali Goat and Goat Ali, the greatest of all time.
Yeah. I used to work with Curtis Conway, former NFL player, and he married Layla Ali. And
Yes.
so we would do a Friday night radio show back for like 10, 12 years ago, something like this. And during the commercial breaks, I finally one day asked him, because you don't want to ask people about their personal life, like, hey, how's your wife doing, and stuff like that. And then they had just had their baby. And I was like, oh, how's the baby? Family come over? He's like, yeah, my father-in-law came by, and he was great with the kids. And I said, okay, Curtis, I'm sorry. Dude, your father-in-law is Muhammad Ali, man. Like, do you ever think about that? He's like, every damn day, because it wasn't that I was scared of Muhammad Ali. I was more scared of Layla because she could knock me out. He goes, with the dad, it's a different aura. It's a presence of, hey, I'm going to go and marry your daughter. Like, he's like, so I already knew what's going on with the wife. He goes, and imagine, hey, I'm going to meet my future father-in-law. Oh, and it happens to be Muhammad Ali. He said he was the nicest man, great for him in his farm in Kentucky. Yeah, and Eric says a USC track star, Curtis Conway. And so every now and then I would ask him, hey, did you talk to him? He's like, oh, yeah, we talk all the time. And then he started mentioning how later on his health was deteriorating. He said, so he would just sit there in the room watching what was going on. He's like, even though he's not talking much, just him watching stuff. And I was like, wow.
I think, and I mean, as big as a fan I am, I mean, it's one of the toughest things was I never met him in person.
Oh.
And I had the opportunity several times. I invited him to a Canelo fight because obviously Canelo is a big fan of Ali. But at that point, he was very sick and couldn't make it. They told us thank you for the invitation, but we're not going to be able to make it. One of the things I always believed is, and I think that's the toughest thing of that illness is, I think he knew everything that was going on. And that's harder, I think, when you know what's going on, but you still, especially how he was. I mean, you see the videos when he was young and how fast and smooth and how well he spoke and how that affected him in the later years. That's the toughest thing to swallow because that's who he was. He was somebody that talked and people listened.
Yeah. Coach, were you never around him, were you?
No, I was never around him. And last year on one of the podcasts we had, we spoke about a picture that I have of him.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I have two pictures. I have a picture
with Michael Jackson.
A picture of Muhammad Ali and Michael Jackson when he was 5. And during that time, when I got that picture from this old man that lived up in Bighorn in a big country club here in Palm Desert, I was in Big Bear at one time when my brother Antonio was up in Oscar for a fight. And we discovered this place in Big Bear where this guy has pictures, memorabilia, and signed autographs, signed pictures and stuff. So I walked in there and I tell the guy, I said, I want to know that. I said, I have a picture of Muhammad Ali, and I brought it in. Picture of Muhammad Ali and Michael Jackson. And he saw at the very corner of the picture's original copy. And it says Michael Jackson, 5 years old, Muhammad Ali. And I said, what would you pay me for this? And he says, $40. I said, really? Just $40? He goes, but if you get it signed by both, I'll give you $40,000. Oh wow!
And they were both already passed. Gene.
I said, man, where am I gonna get a signature from both?
What?
Oh my God! That guy was mean.
Yeah. If you could, Coach, that'd be great.
But I have a picture. Of Muhammad Ali and the Beatles actually signed by both. When Muhammad Ali was Cassius Clay, and I have the certificate of authenticity. I have that in my office, and those are two of my best pictures I have there.
The Green Eye Bandit. Did Ali ever patch things up with Joe Frazier?
I don't think so. As much as I mean, from the story I know,
Yeah.
um, Ali didn't mean it. Ali was a great promoter, and Frazier took it very hard because he was real. He was like, hey, but the story goes that when Ali was banned from boxing and going through hard times, Frazier actually showed up to help Ali and say, hey, I'll help you. What do you need? I'll take care of you, whatever. There was a lot of respect. But when Ali came back and it was good and everything and took back to the promotion, uh, I guess, took it to a point where to promote it, this and that. And that was Ali. Ali played a lot of mind games. But Frazier never got over, like, why was he like that when I did so much? And that's what I have heard and read and learned about it. But it's just Ali was a showman. Ali was an entertainer. Ali was in and out of the ring amazing. I mean, like I said, he is one of those guys that 40 years ago in this era today, we would still be saying, wow, Ali's the greatest. There's very few that can transcend into different eras. And I think he's definitely one of them. I mean, one of the guys that I didn't like many years ago at the time, I actually disliked him. And today think we need him is Nassim Hamed, who you might even say was, I'm not going to say a copy because he was different inside the ring, but I think even today you see fighters learning from Ali, whether it's the talk, whether it's the inside the ring, whether it's the promote. That's how strong Ali is, that 40 years later, people are still learning from Ali. Look, Sugar Ray Leonard modeled himself as Ali. I mean, Sugar Ray was the smaller version of Ali in a different division.
It was interesting because you go back and you see some videos because during COVID, here you're up, and then lately with one of the things that I got because of the COVID was I couldn't sleep at night because I'm sleeping during the day. So I ended up going on YouTube and just watching like older fights, and I saw the Ken Norton one, and you're like, okay, that's a shell of who he was, the way that thing happened, and I ended up going and just reading stuff and looking at things, and I remembered a story that Jaime Jarrin, the Dodger legendary broadcaster, he used to do the big fights in the 70s and the 80s. And so when I started with boxing, I remember talking to Jaime at a Dodger game and asked him, I know you did boxing. The dummy ass kid that I am, I said, Don Jaime, sé que hice uso un poquito de boxeo. He's like, Beto, I used to do all the fights at the Olympic Auditorium. I used to do all this. And I'm like, so Jaime Jarrin's a really nice man with me, and he's like, when you do boxing, and he gave me some tips on how to let it breathe, how not to talk too much, and stuff like that. And I was like, did you ever do any big fights? Once again, the dummy that I am. He's like, well, in the 70s, there was a fella, un caballero que se llamaba Muhammad Ali. I'm like, but I didn't think that the guy who's doing the Dodger games is going to be doing Ali fights. He said, I did the Thriller in Manila. He's like, all the Rumble in the Jungle and all that stuff. I'm doing that. And I'm like, wait a minute, you did? And I'm like, that's... So for the Latin American countries, Jaime was doing the broadcast for all of South America. Anywhere that was Spanish speaking, they would carry the fights of Muhammad Ali on the radio. So he was doing those fights. And I was like, did they do it for any other fighters? He's like, why would they? It's only Muhammad Ali can do that, where South America and everybody else is wanting to hear about that. And so I'm like, well, what was it like in the Philippines? He said, you couldn't go anywhere.
If you watch, I forget which movie it is, because obviously there's so many movies of him. But if you watch a movie that touches on the George Foreman Ali, the fight that they have, when he gets to Africa and he's running through the streets, and the whole town is running behind him and yelling, Ali Boumaye, Ali Boumaye, Ali. They don't even know who he is. I mean, personally, however, they knew who Ali was. They were supporting him. George Foreman was the bad guy. Obviously, his personality, his character was the mean guy. But they were already against him because they loved Ali without knowing him.
Yeah, it's interesting, like to hear like the stuff, and I don't even know how we got here. We were just talking about it. Yeah, and Jaime Jarrin, that's another the stories that he just tells. That's why I love ThursDIAZ, because we started off talking about a guy from Uzbekistan, went and got a guy from the Turkish Mafia, and the guy who's gonna be carrying a flag is texting me, telling me to write a story. So I'm gonna tell Barbaros to make sure that ThursDIAZ gets a big spread in the Turkish newspapers. Then we were all about Ali. Yeah. And then now Jaime Jarrin interviewing Cantinflas. I got reminded by the Green Eye Bandit. So it's
this is the first time I just realized we have this little list on the side. I never seen that of all the
comments. Yeah,
I never seen that. So I just opened it. This is the first time I could say, Sulem Urbina, you're wrong. She's wrong.
Oh,
she just posted something. But Sulem, you just posted something. Tonio, your fans miss you. No,
yeah, nobody missing Tonio. Nobody's missing Tonio. But here's a good question from Sulem, which is interesting because now with boxing, you're starting to see different cities get fights. Going to Miami, you're going to different places. It's no longer only Vegas. But a good question from Sulem: where's it at? Will boxing be worldly again, like say a Thriller Manila? We see it in Dubai, right? Is it just money talks?
So. I think so. Look, if the fights are big enough, they can go anywhere. Boxing, that's one thing with boxing. It's a world sport. It's been around for many years. Since the Romans were fighting, and I mean, it's probably the oldest sport in the history. So as long as the fights are good, they can go anywhere. It's
well, as long as the money's good too, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, they asked me the other day about if Tyson Fury fought Anthony Joshua, where does that fight belong? Simple. The fight belongs in the UK.
Yeah.
And it could fill 100,000 people. But for the good of the fighters, the promotion, everything, if there's another country that doesn't have boxing and is willing to pay more money to bring it, like a Dubai or the Thriller Manila, then you got to take it there, because unless the fighters say, I don't care about the money, I want to take it to my people because it belongs here. But then they're giving up. With the fighter that loses or retires years later, going to be like, I shouldn't have done that. I should have. At the end of the day, they have to look out for themselves too. So that's where it's tough, because fan-wise, you want to take it to where the fans are going to appreciate. The real fans are going to go, not the casual fan. But if that makes a difference between making this much money or making this much money, at the end of the day, the fighter's career is this short. You got to capitalize on the big piece of cake.
Here's a question here from Victor Granillo. Roberto, do we see Triple G against Munguia this year? Gracias y saludos a los tres desde Las Vegas. Gracias, Victor.
I hope so.
Oh.
I think that's a fight that definitely should happen next. I absolutely believe that's the fight that should happen next. I know Munguia definitely wants it. I believe Triple G wants it. So it's just a matter of the fans and the media and everybody lining up and saying, hey, that's the fight we want to see. I think that's a very exciting fight. I mean, look, everybody that knows Triple G, he comes to look for the knockout. Everybody that sees Munguia, he comes to look for the knockout. It's a young man's time, and Munguia's ready. And he was ready to do it 4 years ago, or how long, when he was going to step in and fight. So now he has the experience. He's gotten mature. He's learned with Eric Morales. Why not? I think that's the best fight out there for both of them.
That's right. He was going to step in, but it was Vanes Marjosian who stepped in at StubHub Center. This is one for you, Roberto. Is boxing under pressure to make good fights because of UFC? Do you pay attention at all what the UFC does as a promoter?
No. UFC has a different crowd. Boxing is under pressure to make good fights, period. And it's always been that way. I mean, when you're doing fights where the fans show up and already know who's going to win before the fight happens, that's not going to entice anybody. When you're making fights, look, I'm not trying to tweet our own horn, but Beck the Bully fighting Kovalev, that's out of the norm. A kid with 6 fights fighting a former world champion. A guy that just went, his last previous fight before that, went 11 rounds with pound for pound the best fighter in boxing today, Canelo Alvarez. And a kid with 6 fights who's only gone 10 rounds once. Those are challenges. Those are the types of fights that people show up and say, it's too soon for Beck. He shouldn't be fighting Kovalev. However, I want to see if this guy's real. And if the team's boxing is a young man's sport. Let's not forget, and I'm not saying that's the right way, but let's not forget, Wilfredo Benitez won the world title at 17 years old. You have a lot of professionals turning pro at 17 today.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not even turning pro at 17. At 24, they're still not even fighting anybody. Now, maybe it was too soon at 17 because you're still a baby. But it's a young man's sport. At 30 years old, you got fighters today that are 30 years old, world champions that are 30 years old, not willing to fight the big fights. And when they're 33, okay, I'll fight anybody now because the timeline's almost over. It's a young man's sport. They got to do it now.
If I'm not mistaken, Roberto, Fernando Vargas was also a young champion, right?
Fernando Vargas was the youngest junior middleweight champion in the history.
Wow.
Yeah. Benitez was the youngest in any division because 17, I mean, shit.
Yeah.
Today, I don't think you can even turn pro at 17 in many states. You got to get special permits unless you were a decorated amateur. Can you go pro at 17? But Benitez was a world champion. He beat Antonio Kid Pambelé Cervantes at 17.
Man, your brain is working right now, Roberto. That wine is good. Hexar says...
I'm a big fan of Benitez. I'm a big fan of Benitez.
Our good buddy Hexar, I still have the artwork for Tom Loeffler that he does for Triple G and Munguia. Hector, you did it for Loeffler. Now you can do it for Golden Boy. So let's clean it up and let's go enhance it a little bit, mijo. And you're going to do it for free, too. No, Hector does a great job. One of the best graphic designers I've seen out there, man. Really, really talented.
Hector's a great guy. And hey, keep that artwork ready to go, man. And hopefully we can get it out soon. Hey, by the way, Antonio Diaz, as much as I bully him, he just said something that is very true.
What's that?
Packers ain't going nowhere. Packers ain't going nowhere.
You see what I mean?
Hey, Roberto.
You see what I mean? We're talking boxing, and Antonio comes in with football and nothing to do with it.
Hey, Roberto, I'm going to take away that feature where you can see the comments. We got to stay focused here. No, we got to stay focused right here. It's like when people yell squirrel. You got to stay focused here. You got to stay focused.
On behalf of all the Diaz family, we are sorry for Antonio.
Oh, here's a good...
Not me. I'm a Diaz that's with Antonio.
Let's see here. Favela, if you really want that answer, I'll just text me. I'll give you the answer there. We're not going to talk business right here. Come on, bro. Man. You gotta know the questions that'll be right. What's the one I want to get to? All right, Arturo Alvarado. Whoever made the Canelo versus Mayweather fight regret throwing in Canelo too early in the fire. Should they have waited?
No.
Who made the fight?
It was a fight that Canelo wanted. It was a fight that came up at the time. It was a fight that, look, again, I could go back to this Beck and Kovalev. We never know until it's after. If Beck would have got knocked out by Kovalev, people would have said after the fact, oh, they threw him in too soon. If Beck would have knocked out Kovalev, oh, Kovalev was done. He was washed up. Anybody would have knocked him out. It's always a situation, but you know what? You have to take challenges when they're there. I'll go back to two historic cases. Juan Lascano was offered a fight Mayweather, and they offered him
Juan Lascano from El Paso.
Yeah,
the Hispanic causing panic.
Hispanic causing panic to fight Floyd Mayweather, and you know what he said? I don't just want to fight him. It's not about the money. I want to fight him to beat him. I'm going to take one fight before, and I'm going to fight Jose Luis Castillo. And he got knocked out. There was a heavyweight from San Fernando Valley. Joel, you remember a big heavyweight from San Fernando, Tatuado. He was offered a lot of money to fight George Foreman, and he took one tune-up fight. Alex, I forget his name right now. I'm drawing a blank, but he was a heavyweight before Chris Toriola back in the after George Foreman came back, when George Foreman did his comeback, and he took a tune-up fight, and he got knocked out. So at the time, Canelo's undefeated. He's young. He's strong. Personally, my thought was this is the first time Floyd is fighting a bigger and younger. Because it was either if they were bigger, they were older. If they were younger, they were smaller. It was always, this was the first time it was bigger and younger.
Is it Alex Garcia?
Alex Garcia, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, Alex Garcia.
Okay.
And yes, Canelo lost. But guess what? You see his next fight? And the fight after that? Canelo grew. And you know what? You can only grow from those fights. He became a better fighter. And should he have won? Or would he have won? Yeah. After the fact, it was too soon. We saw there was, obviously, there was weight things and things that were done and everything that hurt him. I'll tell you what, if they fought today, even if they fought at 160, if Canelo had a drain and make 160, it's a different animal. Obviously, Floyd is older. It's not the same, but one thing about boxing is you have to take those risks. And that's going to make you better. Losses are not going to hurt you. They're going to make you better. And you learn from them. You learn more from a loss sometimes than from the wins. You pay more attention.
Now, Roberto, I think because of Mayweather, a lot of fighters became that, I got to keep my I got to stay perfect, all of other stuff. How, and you too, coach, young fighters, how do you tell them, don't worry about that? Like, there's guys are so worried about having that perfect record. I think I heard you the other day talk, or I read a quote from you. You said everybody lost, except a couple. But every champion, except for Mayweather, has lost. How do you get that in the mind of a young kid in a social media era where everybody's worried about stuff like that?
It's a big distraction walking in the ring thinking, if I lose, or I'm going to lose. But I'm going to tell you something. The old school fighters, they were more about taking risks, like Roberto said. Because I can tell you, on the personal level, Canelo learned a lot more. He was a better fighter after he fought Mayweather. After that loss to Mayweather, he learned so much. He was a smarter fighter. I think he learned a lot from Mayweather just from that loss itself. He became a more seasoned and smarter fighter. Some fighters, they take a defeat and mentally they're dethroned, but there's some fighters that are stronger mentally that a defeat, they use it to become better. And that's just the way it is in the sport.
Well, you know what? Salem Urbina leaves a comment right now. Says, tell me about it. I learned a lot. Her last fight came up short against Marlena Esparza in a fight that she was very confident about. And, she looked good going in and came up short. And you're right, Coach. It's that attitude. Because I know there's sometimes where I go and interview fighters. Once again, I've never been hit. I don't go in the ring. I don't even pretend like that. But you could tell some guys who are, hey, so who do you want to fight? And it's like, where they're more worried about their look and appearance than they are about, I want some of the best guys. Then at the same time, you go and these journeyman fighters, like the Duologuines that you bring in from Mexico, these guys know I'm going to beat this kid tonight, and they will tell me, le voy a ganar, no está listo. How? Yeah. Lo miré on Instagram. Like, they know that like the veteran journeyman guys, the gatekeeper guys, know when a young kid is just full of himself that he's more worried about appearance kind of thing. And exactly. It's like, and I've seen it plenty of times at fantasy at 5 o'clock when nobody's watching it. We're the only ones in the building. And next thing you know, boom, you'll never hear from a kid again because he's now 8-1 and he's gone.
Beto, you get more information. Like personally, me as a matchmaker, I get more information from a fighter that goes through adversity, that gets dropped, that gets beaten, and how they come back, than just going in there and knocking out somebody they're supposed to knock out. A good example is January 2nd, Ryan Garcia got dropped by Luke Campbell. Trust me, I know though. A lot of people were like, see, oh yeah, see, he's a social media star. It's over. It's gone. It's all. The character he showed to get up, and not only get up, he didn't run, he didn't hold on, he didn't hug. He still went after Luke, and then later on knocked out Luke. You can't teach that. That's natural. That's something that comes. I mean, as much as coach can be in the gym training them, and look, if you there's drills that you guys turn them, dizzy them, drop and get up. You got 10 seconds to get up, and that's different than when it actually happens. Mm-hmm. And you have to show. I was watching a video the other night. Kendall Holt drops Timothy Bradley. And we've talked about the fight and when we were in Canada together. But I actually watched the video the other night. That was and I'll say like the British say, that was a wicked knockdown. You know what? Many other fighters wouldn't have got up.
Oh no.
The way Tim went down with the power that Kendall Holt dropped him, and Kendall Holt could punch. You can't teach that in the gym. At the end of the day, you're going to have to find out in a fight, both corner and fighter. Are you willing to go that extra mile and get through the fire to get to the promised land? And you know what? Tim Bradley helped him, that he was always in great shape. So his recovery time, because sometimes you're not in the greatest condition. You get up, okay, I can weather the storm. I get up, but you don't recuperate, and they finish you.
Yeah. Arturo Alvarado has a good point.
He got up and fucking ended up winning the fight.
Yeah, like Arturo Alvarado says, Pacquiao Marquez saga. You know, guys dropping you, going back and forth. But it's, I don't know. Now I'm just starting to sound like the old man of like, you should get in there and you should fight. This is not, let's go, forget everything else. And it's just.
Look, Beto.
Mande,
let me tell you something. Let me when I saw the Ryan Garcia fight, and obviously as a coach living the sport of boxing on a daily basis, you always get those comments. I mean, I always get those questions. Coach, what do you think about Ryan Garcia? And when they approach you, there's always a negativity, right? But you always gotta be a professional and answer the question properly.
Because you know they're asking you so they can tell you their opinion.
I know, but I mean, before they give me their opinion, I always stop them on the track. You know.
Yep.
For example, I see Ryan Garcia, and I still remember I'm a big fan of great fighters, and when there's a fighter that catches my attention, believe me, I'm always gonna be on him. When I saw Ryan Garcia go down, because I live the sport, and I see how fighters' the character of the determination of getting up from that canvas and continuing. I mean, we call it, you got to come back, you know? It's the fighter's instinct. Going back to that. Ryan Garcia reminded me of a Tito Trinidad. Tito Trinidad, how many times he went down? I mean, look at Tito. If you go back to Tito Trinidad's fights, Roberto, you know.
Right. Yori Boy Campas dropped them, and you thought it was over.
And he came back. I mean, I seen Tito Trinidad. He get dropped many times in some of his fights.
In fact, after a while, you're right, Joel, because after a while is don't drop him porque se va a encabronar.
Yeah. Tito Trinidad, one of the best Puerto Rican fighters in boxing history.
Yeah.
I mean, he will go down, and you think it's over, and he will come back up, and destroys the point. And Ryan Garcia showed to me, I mean, he's a great kid. I mean, outside of what he does on Instagram or whatever, as a fighter, I don't see Ryan Garcia on the outside level of his personal life. I don't care about his personal life. I see him as an athlete, as a fighter. Okay, I mean, honestly, I don't like to get going to that stage of judging him by his lifestyle. That's separate. I'm a boxing trainer. I look at him as an athlete. But if I have to categorize him as an athlete, as a fighter, he did great. Why? Because he goes down, and maybe 2 out of 10 fighters do what he does. Others would sort of like, if you're undefeated, if you go down in that particular way, like he went down against Luke, their mind will backstab you. Like, okay, now I have to move around. I have to survive. I have to hold on. No, Ryan Garcia went down. He got up, and you saw in his face that, okay, I went down. Now I'm gonna whoop your ass. He went looking for Luke Campbell. He never moved back. You saw the anger in him. You saw the determination of coming back and winning that fight. He did. He bounced back looking for that win instead of, a lot of people, you cower down.
No, and especially when it's your first time going down, the natural instinct is, me amarro, corro, I avoid it. I've never been here before. I got to go back to my corner. What's going on? I'm a paranoid. No, you're right. He went out. In fact, before the knockout, I think it was the 4th or 5th round, he hurt Luke. Luke turned his back.
Yep.
And was buckled and hurt.
Yeah. So he went to the corner. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ryan kept looking for the fight. So that we cannot teach in the gym. We cannot teach. It has to be already here as a fighter, and it has to be something that comes out at the moment of being under fire.
And that was also credit to Ryan, and I agree with you, Coach. It's whatever he does with social media wise, it's that whatever. But when he showed that night, he showed that night was awesome because that answered a lot of questions. People were like, "Oh, what would do when in their adversity?" It was also the first time Ryan had ever been dropped in his life. So it's
like you saw that, like chew that beer. He right now says, look at Andy Garcia when he went down against Anthony Joshua. Same thing. Anthony Joshua drops Andy Ruiz. And look at the way Andy Ruiz landed on the canvas. It's like, oh, he's done. He's dead. Oh, Andy gets up, and he went looking for that, like the revenge. Like, I'm gonna go back at you, And that's the difference in fighters. Andy Ruiz, outside of boxing, whatever he does outside, that's his problem. That's his personal life. Yeah. We, the fans, we like to see what he does in the ring because we're entertained by him. He's an entertainer in the ring. We want to watch boxing. Watch his fight when he gets in the ring and there. Don't
Coach,
judge him up. Don't judge him outside.
This is gonna sound like a stupid question, but do you talk to your fighters in the gym about how to react when they get dropped if that situation ever comes up, or do you want to avoid that because you do?
Of course. I've done it many times. Like Roberto mentioned, when Bradley fought Kendall Holt, we prepare for that. I prepare with Bradley for the worst, the best, and the worst. You cannot walk in a fight just thinking of the best. You gotta prepare for the worst. I always tell my fighters, look, if you guys go down, okay, you already went down. If you go down, don't try to get up. It's worse because then your equilibrium is off. If you go down, stay down. Take a knee, listen to the count, and when you hear the count of 7, get up, take a deep breath, square up so you don't go off balance, and go. But always look at me. Find me. When Antonio fought Margarito, he took a knee, and he looked at me, and I told him, stay down, recover. A lot of fighters make the mistake of going down and try to get up real quick. That's not good for you.
To show that's inexperience, Beto. That's inexperience because I want to show I'm not hurt. I want to show my opponent I'm not hurt. But
Right.
you went down for a reason. He caught you. As coach says, you get up and your balance is off. You're still not there. Your head's not clear. It's easier for your opponent to come and finish you. Or for even the ref to say, hey, this guy's off balance. A couple more punches. I'm going to stop it. So it is the experience to say, okay, ya caí. Most likely, I already lost the round. Let me take a few more seconds to regroup. I already lost the round, and I'll get up more stable. Look, I just saw Sulem's post. Tell me about it. I learned a lot.
Roberto, okay, hold on, Roberto.
I am reading a lot.
No. Hey, stay focused here. Okay. See at the bottom, Sulem wrote that an hour ago, and I know,
but there's a lot. I'm barely getting down.
Yeah, okay. But Roberto, see at the bottom of your thing, it says new comments.
No.
At the very bottom, it should say something like new comments or updated comments. Yeah. Latest comments.
Sonteo Media. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, now you're caught up with us. All right, welcome to 10 o'clock, Roberto. Thank you for joining us.
I'm barely learning how this works.
That's why I didn't want you guys having this concept right here.
A lot of people don't understand, Beto, that when you get knocked down, you're gonna get a 10 count. Either you're on the bottom or you're on top, regardless. So, I mean, why try to get up when you're still gonna get an 8 count even if you're taking a knee? You know, that's right. If you go down, just take a knee. Take a deep breath, get that oxygen in you, and then when you hit a count of 6, 7, you get up so that when you're walking up, you got the 8, 9, you're good. I mean, a lot of people try to, show different. I mean, they're unexperienced. They get down, boom, they try to get up quick, and your balance is off, and then you're risking that the referee's going to say, okay, you're done. Just might as well you're down, relax, take a knee, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and just listen to the count. Don't lose track. Okay. I prepare my fighters for all that. In the gym, we do preparation for everything. I've always said it. When you go into a fight, don't walk into a fight thinking the best. Go in with plan A, plan B.
Yeah. I know a lot of fighters, and Sonteo Media brings that up. Mikey Garcia visualizes a lot of stuff about what's going on. He's a little Sonteo Media. Do you do that with your fighters too, where do you tell them this is what's going to happen? Because I know that I know that there's also a couple fighters who brought it where they said, "Don't talk to me like that because that's a negative thing." I heard that one time. I'm like, whoa, like it's just and it was
every fight is different, man. Even in training, sometimes you stress a little bit because they're not listening to you, and you're like, oh, and you tell me like, don't tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me what I'm doing right. Wait. I gotta tell you everything. But yes, in fights, everybody's different. Some real calm. They're like, when I'm in a fight, I'm fighting with him.
Gotcha.
And I generate a lot of energy because I like the fight game. When the fights, I get into it, and especially when things are going my way, I get really pumped up. And there's fighters that tell me, Coach, don't get too hyper in there. Just relax. Talk to me. Really? And I don't like that. I don't like fighters telling me how to talk to them in the corner because, it's just me. When I go, and I want to win, and I do whatever it takes in that corner to guide my fighter to victory. And I get really pumped up. Especially when the fight starts getting exciting.
I think one of the best examples that I have of Coach Joel of getting exciting or getting excited during a fight, and I'll go back to Timothy Bradley because I know Coach from the beginning to his biggest fights and wins. I think it was against Manny Pacquiao.
The first one?
He hurt his ankle, right, Coach?
Yeah,
and he came back to you and like, I hurt my ankle like the second round, and Coach said, "You want me to stop the fight? I'll stop the fight."
Yeah.
No, stop. Okay, then.
No,
forget about the ankle.
he comes to the corner in the second round. He tells me, Coach, I hurt my ankle, and I said, what do you want to do? You want me to tell the referee it's over? You want me to stop the fight, or you want to ignore the pain and keep going? And he goes, let's go. Okay, let's go. You know, and a lot of things happen when he fought Provodnikov the same way. You know, when he fought Provodnikov, I pumped him up so much. You know, he was not all there. As a matter of fact, like I said, by the 6th round, he didn't know what round he was in. He was hurt, but I did everything from my part to keep him alive in the fight. There's fighters where, I mean, I go back to not the biggest fights. I trained a kid by the name of Adam Carrera, who fought this kid Raul Reese, and they had heat between each other. And when I was training him, he got tired in the 4th round, and I said, seriously, you're gonna let this guy beat you when you have everything to beat him? And I told him, I want you to give me a good round. If you don't give me a good round the next round, I'm going to stop the fight. So he goes in there and he gives me a good round. He wins the round. So he comes back and I go, how do you feel? Good, I'm tired. I go, can you give me another round like this, like the last one? Yes. So I kept him going. Give me another round like this. I brought him to a victory, you know, and those fights are really important, you know. I had Juan Carlos Martinez, who beat El Camarón. El Camarón, a kid from Top Rank.
He beat on Top Rank, but he had a draw with Abraham.
Yeah, but before that, he beat El Camarón.
He beat Alacran.
Alacran, yeah. I go to Vegas against a guy that had 12 wins, 18 losses. And they're like, hey, who you here with? Before Bradley Marquez.
I think Brad asked you, who do you have tonight?
Yeah, and I said, I have Martinez.
They had Alacran.
Yeah, they had Alacran. Alacran was going to fight in and the other
world
part
title
of Brandon Rios, Pacquiao in whatever they fought. He goes, oh yeah, he's fighting for a world title May 31st. I go, I don't think so. And then I started hearing rumors, you know, Bruce Trampler, and then I saw Brad Goodman goes, hey, Diaz is here with Martinez. And he has a fight next week with Bradley and Marquez. Who's he with? Martinez. And he says that he's here to beat Alacran. And he goes, really? So I said, yeah. I go, hey, I heard you guys have this guy fighting for a world title May 31st on the Brandon Rios Pacquiao fight. Yeah. I go, it's not going to happen. He goes, come on, Joel, don't give me that. I go, hey, I'm here. I'm not here for nothing. So sure thing. Antonio and I brought Martinez to a victory that night. Beat a big underdog. I'm telling you, a guy had 12 wins, 18 losses.
That's awesome.
It has a lot to do, and I'll tell you, I mean, and Coach can correct me, it's very different when you have a fighter that you know him, like a Tim Bradley that he had from day one. They have that chemistry. They know each other very well. Maybe if it's a fighter that Coach just got from one fight and it's their first fight and he comes back to the corner and says, I hurt my ankle. I can't go on. You're going to try to motivate him, but you don't know the fighter as well. So is he really, really that hurt? Or does he have that extra in him to, if I motivate him? I mean, that's why it's tough. I saw a fight, I don't know if it was UFC recently, right now in COVID, where the trainer got a lot of trash for trying to motivate the fighter and not stopping the fight. And you got to try to motivate it. You have a minute. That's a short time period to motivate. Obviously, before the bell rings, you're going to listen to the fighter. And if he says no, okay, yeah. But during that minute, I got to try to motivate it. I remember a time when, I don't know if you were there, Joel, we were in Canada. Joan Guzman was undefeated. Probably one of the most talented fighters I've seen in boxing. Yeah. And he's losing to Ali Funeka.
Of course.
And I
I
went
remember
over
that
to
fight.
his manager, I think it was Jose Nunez, and I tell him, hey, I'm stopping the fight. I've never seen Jose. I mean, Guzman had never been beat up. He was undefeated. He's beating everybody, and he's getting beat up. And I went over to the corner. I'm not going to stop the fight, but I'm the matchmaker. And I called Jose, the manager, and I said, dude, I'm going to stop the fight. And Jose got nervous, and Guzman turns around in the minute break and says, give me one more round. And I said, show me something. Show me something. And he went out and won the 11th, and he won the 12th. He got a draw. But when he heard, I'm going to stop the fight, and it's an undefeated fighter,
Yeah.
it either will bring something out or it won't. And then you can stop the fight. You don't want them hurt. You don't want something, a tragedy in your hands. But you got to try to at least push a little bit that extra, which you know, if you know them from the gym, you're going to get it. And that's
because
why,
you know him, because you know what he's got, you know what
and
you're
that's
doing.
why I think Bradley and Joel had that. They knew each other. If he would have seen maybe Bradley come back, eyes gone, or something different, then he'll stop the
I will
fight.
stop it. Oh, yeah.
It's hard. But
I mean, look, it takes a lot, Roberto. It takes a lot to be in that corner. And I've always said it. I mean, as a trainer, you have a big responsibility. And that responsibility, believe me, it could make you or break you. That's why you got to have full control. A lot of people don't understand, but maybe a lot of people don't know. But me as a trainer, the day of the fight, I spend a lot of time in my room. I try to rest. I try to sleep as much as I can so that I'm rested. Because when you're rested, you're going into a fight with a clear mind, you know? I try to do everything the best I can. You remember the fight with Berchet and Francisco Vargas, right?
Oh yeah, I worked that fight.
Okay, as much as I try to motivate Francisco,
Didn't have it.
I knew walking into the fight, I knew what I was walking into, because I saw Francisco Vargas aging slowly in the ring, in the gym, in sparring here and there. I saw that Francisco.
so you already know going in,
Hmm.
and that's a lot of times you see stuff happening that, okay,
Of course,
you know what?
Roberto.
Ya
That's
estamos
why,
aquí.
Roberto.
Yeah.
I mean, you work every day with these fighters, so you know their character, you know their work, you know their response. When you ask them for something, you know what they give you. So going into the fight with Francisco Vargas, I told Antonio, I said, Antonio, we're going to this fight, but let's take care of him. You know, I mean, Francisco is no longer the same. I mean, he's not the young Francisco that he fought. It's whatever.
And Francisco wasn't a fighter that's going to be for many years because he was always give and take.
Yeah,
There's
battles.
some fighters that they've been in so many wars.
He had a lot of wear and tear. Based on his work ethic and his style of fighting.
And he was coming off the surgery for his eyes too, for his eyebrows.
After every one of his fights, believe me, it was a war. So he had a lot of wear and tear, completely in his whole body. So going into the fight with Berchet, I saw, look, so this is the things that a trainer is supposed to look into in the corner. Okay, if your fighter is not doing good, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds, and your fighter is fighting, but he's not showing you that he's gonna win at the end, now it's time to make a decision. You let him continue and take a beating. At the end, he's not gonna win. I've seen fights where I said, no.
And if he's a big puncher, puncher, like let's just say Beck is losing with Kovalev 8 rounds.
One punch can change. Yeah.
But one punch, you know he has the punch to change it. But when you're not a big puncher,
right,
and now the rounds are against you, and you're not going to win the fight unless you knock him out, and you're not a big puncher, then, and there's only 2 or 3 rounds left, and you're getting beat up, and it's not changed, you don't have a chance. So unless, yes, if he's not getting beat up and you're losing, well, let's go out on our shield. We lost by a decision. But he's getting beat up.
Yeah.
And he's not a big puncher to turn it around with one punch, then what's the point of getting him more damage?
And that's the reason why, Roberto, when coming into the fourth round and the fifth round, that I saw that Francisco was like, he's not doing well. He's taking a lot of punishment. And I remember it was like the fifth round when I told him, I told him, Francisco, how do you feel? He goes, estoy bien. But I saw in his answer that I heard it in
Slow.
his voice. Yeah, like he wasn't like, no, Joel, estoy bien. Hey, I didn't feel that excitement, like that energy. His voice was low,
Yeah.
and he showed me like, I mean, I felt it coming out of his
It's
mouth where he just said it because he's a fighter. Joel,
he's
estoy bien.
he has the heart of a warrior, so that's
Exactly.
what you want to
So
hear.
so
But
I'm
you have
like,
to know your fighter to know you're saying it,
yes,
but you don't mean it.
exactly. I mean,
Sometimes they're saying, ayúdame. I don't want to
yeah,
quit, pero ayúdame.
yeah.
But stop it
I
for
mean,
me, please. Stop it for
you
me.
gotta you gotta know how to read. I mean, their answers based on their tone of voice. And when I heard his tone was like, "Estoy bien, Joel." Like, okay, no estás bien. I go, mira, Francisco, no estás bien, hijo. Si estás bien, demuéstramelo. No me lo digas. Te
Yeah,
voy a dar un
yeah,
round más. I go, I'm
yeah.
gonna give you one more
Show
round.
me.
And if
That's
and
what I
if you
told
don't show
Guzman.
me,
Show me.
yeah,
You don't want me to stop
that's
it?
what
Show me.
I told Francisco, no me digas, enséñame. Te voy a dar un round más, pero te voy a proteger. Si no me das lo que yo quiero ver, se acabó la pelea. So he goes in there and he fights one more round. He did fight, but it was like, I didn't like what he did in that round because towards the end he was taking punishment. So he comes back and I go, hijo, ya se acabó. Hey, I tell the ref, it's over. And he agreed. Okay, it's over. I mean, let's walk away. Why give him another 6 rounds of punishments when at the end he's not gonna win? Let's conserve him. Let's save him because in 6 rounds that punishment can affect him a lot more.
Yep.
Let's walk
Yep.
away. Tomorrow's another day.
Live another day. Live another day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Here's a good question. Flip side from that. Well, this will be the last question of the night. And thanks for everybody with the questions. Arturo Alvarado, what if the fighter takes it as you don't have confidence in him? Has there been a time where there's words exchanged after a fight?
I never had it, honestly. My fighters and I have mutual respect. I'm a true believer that the trainer is supposed to be the driver of the boat. He has full control. If once you start breaking that pattern and you start crossing the line of disrespect, and then it makes no sense. You and your fighter training together because there's no respect. My fighters, when I always give them the respect so that they can believe in me. I always talk to them and I always explain to them how things are going, how things are gonna end, and they believe in me. Never had a problem with one of my fighters, but I just see that in that question, for that particular question, I see that with fighters and trainers that don't respect each other. They treat each other like friends, and there's no respect. In my case, all my fighters respect me. I respect them, so that when I say something, I mean it because it's work. It's strictly work. Obviously, I don't really socialize a lot outside the sport with my fighters. You never see me drinking with my fighters. You never see me, doing something that makes them feel like, oh, we're friends, and I can,
Friends.
get away with this. No. There's a line between that and this, and you don't
Yep.
break that.
I like that question, and the question brings this to me. Deontay Wilder and Mark Breland. Mark Breland stopped the fight, and I think Deontay fired him after because you shouldn't have stopped the fight. You didn't have confidence in me. I could have come back. Now, it goes back to what I said earlier. Deontay had the punch to maybe turn the fight around with one punch and win. There comes the human side.
Yeah.
Mark Breland has been with Deontay, or had been with Deontay through his whole career. He had never seen him hurt like that. I think the Mark and I'm not working with Deontay anymore. I'm not working with Mark at this time, and I think Mark did the right thing.
He did.
He stopped the fight because like Coach said earlier, let's live to fight another day.
To protect him.
So, so what happens if the fight continues and one more punch is the last punch in his life or his career? Then they're going to blame Mark for not stopping the fight. So I rather err on the safe side than error on the unsafe side. So I think Mark did the right thing. Unfortunately, his team didn't see it that way, and they fired him, or he's no longer there at this point. But he saved his fighter to live another day. Look, Deontay Wilder's going to fight another fight.
It's a fine line. It's hard, and I don't envy it. But all right, this is the last one from Beto Gomez, el Tocayo. Any fighters ever get pissed at you because you stopped the fight?
Antonio got mad at me when I stopped the fight with Margarito. But Antonio's a fighter, you know. Every fighter, when you got your adrenaline pumping 100 miles an hour in a fight, they want to keep fighting. They don't see what we see from the outside, you know. And up to now, Antonio that night he got mad because we stopped the fight. But honestly, I can tell you this: Antonio was getting hurt. He was trying to fight through with Margarito, and when he got dropped the first time, Antonio took a knee, and I saw in his eyes. I saw in his eyes that he wasn't 100%. Yes, when Antonio got up, Margarito went at Antonio to try to finish him off. Antonio's in the ropes. Antonio's moving. You know, he's slipping most of the punches, but Antonio was hurt. You know, and Margarito was getting stronger in the later rounds, and Antonio wasn't getting any better.
Why?
I mean, whatever it was. I mean, everybody in the corner panicked, and they're like, "Hey, stop the fight! Stop the fight!" So I walk up to the apron and I said, "Hey, it's over." And he gets out like he's mad because I stopped the fight. I mean, I knew that at the end of the day, Antonio was not gonna win. Yes, they do get pissed off. A lot of fighters get pissed off, but you gotta protect them. When Tim Bradley,
but that's a real fighter. That's a real fighter that he's supposed to get upset. I'm not. Yeah. You're not supposed to stop the fight. I need to be carried out of the ring. I'm gonna die. Yeah. But you know what? That's a fighter.
Yep. Yeah. But you got to protect the fighter. It's an interesting world.
There's a thing that they say. There's so many corners that are brave. They're not the ones getting hit.
No. And believe me, you gotta make proper decisions and very smart ones. When Bradley fought Provodnikov, Bradley was not 100% for months. He got concussed in the fight. It took Bradley months to recover. Okay, Bradley, after the Provodnikov fight, it took him months to recover. When he came back to training, I can tell you this, he was bad. His concussions really affected him to the point where I brought him to the gym to start getting ready for Marquez, and he was sparring Juan Carlos Martinez del Pez, that kid that was 12 and 18.
The little guy.
100. Okay, because he had similar style as Marquez, and he was putting hands on Bradley, 140 pounder. What's his name? That kid that you sent to me, Olympian. What's his name?
Ruslan?
Escobedo.
No. Escobedo. Yeah.
Vicente
Escobedo was sparring Bradley one day during that time, 130 pounder, and he catches him with a hook, and Bradley goes down. He's sparring. And I said, wow. And Bradley gets up, very professional. And then Escobedo got scared. He goes, oh, Bradley, you tripped. He goes, no, take it, bro. You got me. You know? So I remember Bradley lived behind right here on the next street. And Bradley would run at nights. So I was very concerned about that fight. Came fighting Marquez. Marquez had just knocked out Pacquiao. And, I mean, it was weeks, 2-3 weeks that I was like, nah, man, I can't take this fight. Me, as a trainer, I have a load on my back and I got to protect my fighter. Yes, of course, it was a good payday. So one day, I couldn't handle it anymore. So watching Bradley getting beat up by these 126, 130 pounders because of his concussion, he wasn't 100%. I tell him, hey, you going to go run? Yeah, I want to go with you. So I met him around the corner and we started running. And as we're running, I told him, hey, champ, I said, I'm gonna pull the plug on this fight. And he says, no, coach. And I still remember because he would look at me and say, coach, that's why I have a lot of respect for Bradley, because Bradley always looked out for everybody, everybody, his family, my family, and everybody. Bradley that night told me, coach, no, coach, I'm good. I said, no, you're not, champ. You're not performing the way I want you to perform in the gym. I said, I'm gonna pull the plug on this fight. And he goes, no, coach, there's a lot of money there. He says, please, coach, let's take care of your family and my family. I said, Tim, it's not about the money. I said, the last thing I want is this. The last thing I want is taking you to a fight where after the fight you end up in the hospital. I don't like that. I don't want that. I want to bring you back. I want to take you to the fight and bring you back to your family, your wife and your kids. Forget the money. He goes, coach, come on. He tells me, he says, coach, come on. If you see that I'm not doing good, stop the fight. I go, no, don't put me on the spot. As a trainer, when you're in that corner, there's a thin line. There's a split second between making the right and the wrong decision. And I don't want to make the wrong one. He goes, come on, coach, please. And he started crying. He goes, please, coach, give me a chance. Give me 2 more weeks and I'll be fine. And that's when he brought in a couple of doctors, concussion specialists from New York that were with him 24/7. And he started feeling better. Julio was going to fight Amir Khan. And they were training during the same time, but in different training sessions. And one day I said, Julio is the only one that can help me see if Bradley's okay. 2 weeks later, I called Julio and, hey, Julio, help me spar Bradley. And that way I can see, I'm going to test him, because Julio was really good. He was getting ready for Amir Khan. That day, after sparring, they sparred 10 rounds. Julio tells me, hey, I'm going to tell you something.
He's good.
If Bradley fights the way he sparred me today, he'll beat Marquez. I go, really? He goes, yeah, dude, I couldn't even touch him. He's smart, countering me, really slick.
He was back.
He was back. I came home and I slept like from 6 p.m. till the next day. I rested. Yeah, seriously. And then I said, okay, let's do it. But that's how I got relieved. But my main concern was taking care of him. The last thing you want as a trainer is take a fighter when you know that he's not 100%, and you're taking him just because you're getting paid, and that kid ends up in the hospital. I don't like that. That's not me.
I wasn't the only person, but I just pulled a fight. I won't mention names, but a lot of the injuries that happen in fights come from the gym, from the sparring sessions. And I just pulled a fight recently because one of the kids that was going to be on a fight, one of our kids, was injured, and I wouldn't allow him to fight because I said, no, you were injured in sparring. I know it already. How am I going to allow you to fight? And if something happens, I'm going to be like, I knew it. So you're not fighting. You're not fighting. And no, I'm okay. I'm going to fight. No, it's, I'd rather you rest, get cleared, everything's good, and then you'll come back. Look, if that kid would have fought and got injured, then I would have said, I knew it. And it's my fault.
You knew it.
It's my fault. And it's on your shoulders. Look, there's so many times that fighters end up. Gerald McClellan was one of the best fighters in boxing. Fucking big puncher. Went into a fight. The story is he cut a lot of weight before the fight. Went in, a lot of rabid punches. Today, probably 20 years later, and he's still, he's not in a coma or nothing, but he's still in a vegetable state.
Yeah.
But who knows if that came from the gym? And then it didn't help what happened in the fight. Gerald McClellan fought Nigel Benn that night.
Big hitter. Yeah.
Both of them, big punchers.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, it's another just. That's why I love doing this show. It's we don't know what direction you're going to go at, and even though sometimes we talk about the same things, but there's always like a different wrinkle about it, and
it connects.
Everything connects. It's just regardless, and that's why I know that once we do get back to normal times and I'll start and broadcast more fights, this show and the stories that I've heard from you and Roberto are only going to make me a better broadcaster and appreciate stuff even more. Because now, because when I'm the ring reporter, my job is to tell you what's going on in the ring, in the corner. Like now, I have learned what to look for, which I can't wait to work a fight now, when I actually have access instead of just being behind the gates and stuff like that. But, man, we did 2 hours solid. Good to go. As always, rate, review, subscribe. This will be available on iTunes, Spotify, all that other good stuff. Next week, what do we got? There's no fight next week because you're not in Russia. Okay, so no, I'm just making sure. I'm making sure.
No.
Okay, yeah, we'll have a show.
The question: Why is Michelada time?
Yeah, they want to know your name.
He likes michelada. He likes michelada.
Hey, okay, next week we'll start off with Michelada story. And I texted Razo if he wanted to come on the show. Razo didn't respond. Razo.
Because
no. I saw him put earlier that stop bullying.
Oh, did he?
His Rams lost. I wouldn't come out either if I lost.
But, you know, Razo, I texted him 4 different times, no response. So, you know, what are you going to do? Razo doesn't want to come on the show, but it's okay. It's okay, Razo. Está bien. Está bien. It's okay. We could do this stuff. But thanks to the picture from Mr. and Mrs. Ochoa on Instagram that sent the beautiful picture, because Razo is still here. We got Razo.
Yeah, they had that picture. Hey, Razo.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Ochoa, they are fantastic. Thanks for the support.
Amazing. I love that, dude.
Yeah, so Razo didn't want to show up, but we got him here. And as always, go on Instagram. Whatever screenshot you guys have, post it, tag us, and we'll repost it. Appreciate you guys so much. Until next week, we'll see you for another edition of ThursDIAZ. Oh, and by the way, Jeremiah Gallegos, you have not responded to any messages. You have not given us our video. He's supposed to do the opening of the show, Roberto. Him in his little tuxedo. We haven't seen anything yet. So,
okay, why do you keep saying little tuxedo?
Because it's a size.
Exactly.
It's a little tuxedo, and I'm gonna keep saying. I'm gonna keep saying little tuxedo until he actually does our open, and I want him to do and no 2 diamonds, 1 roll, all that other good stuff. Ready for Jeremiah. Jeremiah is awesome. He's great. He's actually follow him on his Instagram. He does a great job. All the sports that he covers, and I can't wait for him to do our opening of ThursDIAZ. We'll talk to you guys next week. Roberto, Coach. We'll see you guys next week. Buenas noches. As always, thank you so much for another edition of ThursDIAZ.
Always a pleasure seeing you guys. I'm glad you guys are doing great. And all the people that are always watching us, thank you guys for always supporting us, man. Have a good night, everybody.
Likewise. Thank you, guys. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.